All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to Organizer Office Hours. We're absolutely jazzed to have you here. This is a new thing that we are starting, but kind of recreating from the old peer groups. But basically what we'll be doing is every week, every Thursday at noon Eastern time, we'll be talking about some different topics. Today, we'll be going over sponsorships. And we'll iterate on different really important topics for hackathon organizers. But we'll do like a 15-20 minute presentation. It'll be a little bit interactive, and then we'll open it up to the crowd and share thoughts and ideas and ask questions. There is no dumb question here. This is exactly why we're here, is to help support you and empower you to put on an amazing hackathon. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. All right. Everyone can see my screen. Should say office hours. Good to go. All right. So we are here today. We're going to be talking about sponsorships, how to get those sponsors and how to dazzle them, and yeah, fund your hackathon. So first, we're going to start off with a quick round of introductions. And then the rest of the agenda is basically going to be covering what you need to know before you get started, understanding your sponsors and their needs, building up your prospectus, pitching your event, and then MLH has a 5-step process to make things super duper easy for you. And we've got some tips and tricks, and then we'll open it up to a Q&A. So to kick us off for introductions, I'll go first. I'm Jackie. I'm the Senior Hackathon Community Manager here at Major League Hacking. Many of you on the call may have already spoken to me at some point, but I've long experience with putting on large events and working with developers, so it's a nice intersection here at MLH. I'm going to popcorn this off to my colleague Shebam, who some of you have already spoken to him, and then we'll just take volunteers from there. Sound good? You just come off mute and go whenever you're ready. Shebam, take it away.
Hello everyone, I'm Shubham. I'm the Hackathon Community Manager for Asia Pacific region. And I mean, my role is pretty much simple. I'm basically here for all the advices and concerns you have for the hackathon. Over to you guys.
Who wants to go next?
I'll pop in. Hi, everyone. I'm John. I'm one of the co-founders of MLH, and I also lead up our sales team. I'll be here for about half of the session, but I'm excited to help you all figure out sponsorship strategies.
I can go next. So I'm Saba. I'm located in Georgia, and I am currently the sponsorship director for UJ Hacks, which is the hackathon put on by the University of Georgia.
Fabulous. Nice to meet you. Anyone else want to go next?
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Michael. I'm the lead organizer this year for Hack SMU in Dallas, Texas. SMU in Dallas, Texas. So yeah.
Nice to meet you.
I can go next. So I'm Samantha. I'm the VP events of Hackathon. So I organize the MagWix Hackathon in McGill University. So it's the hackathon organized by the Women in Computer Science Club.
Nice. Nice to meet you. Ahmed or Ahmad, either one of you want to introduce yourselves?
Yes, I will go first. I'm Ahmed Saeed. I'm from Egypt, and my university is interested in making a hackathon, but we haven't decided how we will make it yet.
Ahmad, how about you?
I'm fine. I'm Ahmed Sadri from Tanzania. I'm a student at the State University of Zanzibar, and I just found out about MLH.
Wonderful. Glad you're here. And William, can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, sure. Why am I off camera? Hi, everyone. I'm William. I work at MLH, primarily working on the data and reporting side of things. So pretty much behind the scenes making sure that MLHers have everything they need to help serve you guys and our sponsors.
Fabulous. Awesome. Glad to have you all here. Format and a little bit of housekeeping here. Make sure that you are on mute. I will have a couple of spots where I'll stop. We'll ask some questions, or we'll have a little bit of interaction, and then we'll have the big Q&A afterwards. Feel free to use the chat. Shabam will be here answering your questions in the chat. If you don't want to come off of mute, or if you've got something you want to ask right now, totally okay. All right. All right, here we go. Okay, folks, before we get started, looking for sponsors, you got to consider a few things. Sponsors want to see that your event is legit, that you are serious about your event, serious as an organizer. So there's a few things that they're going to want to see. One of those things that we want to start out with is identifying what the vision for your event is. This is where I'm going to get a little bit interactive. Anybody here that has been doing hackathons, can you describe what like a good vision for a hackathon would be? I'm going to call on you, John, if no one wants to volunteer.
I'm happy to answer it. I feel like there's probably other folks, but typically a vision for a hackathon is what the impact is going to be on your community and why you're doing the event, right? If you go to a sponsor and you're like, we're just doing a hackathon because it sounds fun, like that's not super exciting to someone. It's not going to get them like hyped about your event. If you go and you say, hey, like we're putting on UGA hacks because we have hundreds of computer science students in the area, and we really want to bring them together to help them learn skills and find job opportunities and build, community. Like that's way more exciting. You can even get way more specific around that, where it's like, hey, we're putting on our event because we want to support women in computing, and we think it's really important to have events that allow people to get together. Or we really want to support people working on social good technologies. There's a lot of different ways to kind of think about your vision, but really it's the purpose and impact of your event and why you're doing it.
Very well put. Yeah, this is a great spot to identify, like if you're reaching a specific demographic, sponsors love to see that. If you have like anything that's going to make your event special, you really want to put that together into a couple of sentences so you can include that in all of your material that you're giving to sponsors. And then of course, if you're in person, we want to have a confirmed venue. It is a-okay if you are a little too far out. I know that universities can be kind of sticky on when you book that venue based on like what semester you're in, but at least be in the process of putting that together. Sponsors do want to see like where that event is going to be taking place, and you want to have that nailed down as soon as possible. Get your date confirmed before you start reaching out to sponsors, because that's going to play into like their quarterly budgets and stuff like that. So you need to have your date confirmed and ready to go. You do need a website, at least a placeholder website at bare minimum, but we need to have a website and a social media presence. Sponsors are going to be looking at your website. They're going to look and see how many people are following you on social media. And basically that's going to tell them about what your hacker presence is like. How many people are they going to be reaching by sponsoring your event? Pre-registered attendees is a fabulous thing to do. If you can get people interested in your event far enough out and get some interest going there, having like a pre-registration form or an interest form, sponsors like to see that as well. And if you are not a brand new hackathon, you've been doing this previously, any previous sponsors that you've had, put those on your website. So that way it can like create a little bit of competition there. But sponsors like to see that your event has been previously sponsored before. So definitely include that in your website and, any other materials that it makes sense to do so. And of course, you will need an itemized budget. This is for you to decide how much you need to raise. It's really great to have that really broken down, because you'd be surprised how many items you might be able to get in-kind sponsorship for. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But have your budget ready, have it broken down on all of the individual items that you're going to need to purchase. Okay, cool. So there's a few reasons why a sponsor might sponsor your hackathon, why they would want to partner with you. There is definitely something in this for them. So that's something that you want to, go at this keeping in mind, is that they're getting something out of your hackathon as well. One of the big things that sponsors really love is getting real-time feedback on their products, especially like API products and developer tools. The more hands that they can get their product into and the feedback they can get from that helps them to create a better product. Also to raise awareness or change perception of their brand or product or service. Again, the more people that they can get into their product using it can create more awareness within the hacker community. And another great thing is recruiting interns and full-time employees. So lots of sponsors are looking at hackathons to recruit people for jobs. So there's a lot of benefits here for the sponsors and for the hackers as well. All right, so you've got a few types of sponsors that will be a part of your hackathon. The first one is the most common, is your financial sponsors. These are going to be the people that give you just money right up front for your event. And then you'll also have a presenting sponsor. Your presenting sponsor will be somebody that, or a company that gives you a larger amount of money up front, but they're going to basically co-host or co-brand your event. This can be really great for larger events, but you do want to be careful not to give up too much of your control. You still want to control most of your hackathon, but they'll play a bigger part in actually planning your event. And then there's the in-kind sponsors. This is my favorite kind, and I feel like it gets overlooked a lot, but in-kind sponsors are going to be the companies that like to give swag, hardware. There might be even like platform credits. I always mention this because when you're putting together like your food budget, think about the local companies that might actually benefit of being a part of your event within like the local area. So I'm thinking like coffee. If you want to provide coffee, go to some of your local coffee shops and see if they would be interested in being an in-kind sponsor. Food, catering companies, all of that kind of stuff. Attempt to try to get an in-kind sponsor before you pay for it. You'd be surprised how much you can get from people for that. And local companies love supporting local events. So I think that's a big one to remember. And then you've got your strategic and media partners. You do want to get the word out. So these are going to be partners that can help you with marketing and promotions. These will be newspapers, newsletters, magazines, other websites. Again, if you're doing an in-person event, think local, think your college newspaper, local newspaper, any other local companies or anything that can help you promote your event. You'll want to get in touch with them and come up with a sponsorship there as well. And then there's community partners. These are different communities that can contribute to the culture of your hackathon. They can help provide mentors, judges, support staff, anything that can help your event run smoothly. So this could be partnering up with like other clubs and organizations on campus or other campuses, a specific nonprofit that might have an interest in your hackathon. Another thing you can do is reach out to other hackathons too and swap resources. That's always a really great way to go to, especially if you're needing to get mentors and judges. Uh-oh, I went the wrong way. Hang on a second, guys. We're going to back up just a quick second here. Went to the wrong one. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is put together your sponsor prospectus. This is basically what you're going to be giving your sponsors to tell them about your event, give them an idea of how much money you need to raise, and all of that stuff. So there's going to be a few different ways you can go about this. Your first one will be your standard tiers. You can see that on the screen here from Cruise Hacks. They've got 4 different tiers, but depending on the size of your event, you could go bigger or you could go smaller. So if you're planning an event, you know, with maybe 150 to 200 people, you may not need to have a $5,000 you know, tier here. So it really just depends on how much you need to raise. A digital hackathon, you're probably not going to need as much as an in-person hackathon. So, but this is something that you really want to include a link on your website. The tiered sponsorships are really like this prospectus is really great for sponsors that are ready to donate now. So if you have returning sponsors, or if you've got somebody that you've already been in talks with, you want to send this out to them right away. And this will basically give them a good idea of how much you need to raise and what benefits they can get for how much they raise. You also want to provide a little bit of incentive to get people to maybe, you know, provide a little bit more. So you can see here that there is like some incentive for Cruise Hacks sponsors to go from like 3rd place to 4th place, or 3rd place to 2nd place. So you can see that each level up, they get more bang for the buck, basically. The second type of prospectus is the slide deck. This is really great for cold emailing. This is really where you want to put a large overview of your event. So you're going to put your vision of your event in here, maybe some information about your organizing team, some background of the hackathon, maybe the organization that you're under or the club that you're under. And if you're sending out mass emails for cold emailing, this is going to be a great tool to get as much information about your event into the hands of a potential sponsor. And then you'll have some custom proposals, most likely. You might have a verbal conversation with somebody that, you know, they say they want to provide a certain amount of money, or maybe they want to do a little bit of a monetary and material, like they want to donate t-shirts or whatever. So you might need to draft up a custom proposal for that. Okay, I've been talking a lot. I'm going to pause for just a quick second. Do we have any questions from the crowd just yet? Not yet. Feel free to put it in chat. We've got Shabam here answering any questions you've got in chat, and we'll keep powering through. So, okay. So what you need to include into your prospectus is really important. Obviously, we need to have an event name. Make sure that's in big bold letters. We need an event date. Sponsors need to know when and where your event is. If we're going to be digital, make sure that it says that this is a virtual event. So that way that's really clear. We also want to have a projected attendance. So give your sponsors an idea of how many hackers they could be reaching out to. Definitely include the URL and any contact information so they can get in touch with your organizing team. And of course, make sure you check that email inbox. Okay, so my favorite part is pitching your event. If you guys can tell, I like talking a lot. So this is a lot of fun to me, but you want to speak to your top sponsors' top concerns. You really want to meet them, like where they are, see kind of what it is that they're looking for in a hackathon. So there's a few things to consider here. One of those first things is your attendee value. Are your hackathons attendees going to be a good fit for the company, like in terms of recruiting and marketing? Are you reaching an audience that might be difficult for that sponsor to reach on their own? So if you're talking about like having a specific demographic or reaching a certain subset of people that might be a good benefit for the sponsor to, have some access to, that would be a really great thing too. Also consider who else is sponsoring your event. Depending on the sponsors, your other backers do matter. Some cloud sponsors don't like to sponsor events that another cloud sponsor is at, but other types of companies like the competition. So really just depends on who's there, but do keep that in mind. And then you've got your package value. You want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth. So people at the top should be getting a lot more in terms of value for the money that they're giving you versus like your bottom tiered sponsor. And then of course, there's going to be their gut feeling. We call that the force. How do the sponsors feel about you and your event overall? How do they feel about your competency? Is your event well organized? Have you been professional? All of these things are going to go into play with how your sponsor reflects on their interactions with you and how confident they feel with sponsoring your event. Any questions about that so far? All right, so MLH has a five-step process to make things very easy for you. If you follow this process and use the resources that we have, getting sponsorships should be a breeze, all right? And at the end of the slides, we do have some resources, and I will be sending all of this out to everyone that registered today. So no worries, you're gonna get some stuff in your inbox here pretty soon. But to start off with, our first step here is to set your targets and do your research. Setting targets means deciding how much money you need to raise. What does success look like? What metrics do you need to hit? How much do you need to raise by a certain date? Stuff like that to keep you on track. Last thing you want is to be running last minute into your event and only be 25% of the way through your sponsorship. So set those targets. Start doing research and compiling a list of sponsors. Probably one of the easiest things you can do is go to previous MLH events on our events page on our website and look at some of our previous events and see what sponsors have partnered with those events and start building a list off of that. Lean into your network. You'd be surprised how many businesses and people you might be able to reach out to, like through LinkedIn or from alumni or even previous organizers. And the one thing that I know people like don't want to hear, but ask your parents. It's really interesting and very helpful with parents who work at companies that might be able to get you an introductory email or introduce you to somebody, but we've had really great luck with people reaching out to their parents and, you know, leaning into that network as well. So don't disclude them. Check with career services, see who's been sponsoring tech fairs, like tech fair jobs on your campus, and do plan on reaching out to at least 50 plus sponsors at minimum for a smaller event. Some of the bigger events, you're going to go 200 plus. Reason for this is because not all sponsors are going to reach out to you, reach back out. You will have an attrition rate there. So you are going to need to reach out to a lot more people than you plan on getting sponsors from. So it's better to go bigger than to not have enough. All right, number 2 is get in touch. Next thing you want to do is send out a well-crafted and thoughtful email to your potential sponsors. This email, the goal is to get them on the phone. So we're not looking at sending the prospectus just yet. We want to have a clear and concise email that basically gets the basics, the what, the where, the when, and the why. Put the web address, URL for your website in there. Try to reach out to decision makers at the company, but if you don't know who that is, and you know somebody at the company that might be able to do a warm intro to you, that's a great way to go. But if not, you can always look through their website, try to see if you can find a decision maker or, you know, ask around. But a cold email is better than nothing at all. So definitely get that together and send that email out, and then wait about a week and follow up with another email just to check in. And then once you get them on a phone call, you want to make sure that your sponsor knows what a hackathon is. So if this looks like a new company that you haven't seen sponsor a hackathon previously, you want to describe it kind of like a science fair. Talk about their success metrics from a past sponsorship and see what that looks like and what they hope to get out of it. Then, of course, sell your team and your story, what makes your event special. Let them do most of the talking, and don't be afraid to ask questions like what their budget is for their sponsorship, so that way you know like about what to sell them on. And then before you hang up, always schedule a follow-up call so that way we can keep the ball rolling. You don't want to have a potential sponsor falling through the cracks and not moving forward with you. And then once you have an agreement, make up a proposal. Do this right away. You don't want to allow more than maybe 48 hours lapse before you get this back to them. This is where you're going to send over your prospectus with your different packages and any other relevant information that they may need to know. Make sure you explain why your offerings are a good fit. Give them a deadline. A deadline is going to be super important here. And less is more. Try to pick like a nice uniform color scheme. No need to go too overboard. We're going to keep this really concise and clear and on point. And then number 5, you want to follow up and track your progress. So after you sent out the proposal, you want to email about a week or 2 later, asking if you can answer any questions. It's really good to track your emails. Most people use Excel, or like Google Sheets, but there's other tools that you can use like Boomerang. But you definitely want to keep track of who is reaching out to what sponsors, where you are in the process with them, who has said no, who has said yes, all of that. So make sure you are keeping track of that. And when you get a sponsor that agrees to partner with you, invoice them ASAP. And then once you're all done, give yourself a high five and take a big deep breath, go get a snack. You went through the whole 5-step process. You did a great job. All right, I'm not going to leave you without a few tips and tricks. So first, before you start anything, make sure you know where the money goes. If you don't have access to your bank or know how that works within your school, get a hold of your administrator and find out how that works. I highly recommend trying to make your life easier and automate your emails as much as possible. Tools like Customer.io, MailChimp, Mixmax, Gmass, most of these are free for basic usage and can really make things so easy for you. So definitely use those. Always keep the sponsor at the center of everything. This isn't just about getting money for your event. This is also about benefiting your sponsor and meeting their needs, but also keeping your hackers at the center too. So this is all about them. Is your sponsor going to help give your attendees a great experience? That matters as well. Professionalism goes a long way, so make sure that your website looks amazing. Spell and grammar check everything that is public facing, and make sure you're being as professional as possible when you get on the phone with them. Sponsors will look at everything that you do. They will look at your social media following. They will look at your website. If you're not engaging hackers on social media now, or yet, start now. This is going to help drive some engagement and get people excited, but also show sponsors that you're excited and your hackers are excited as well. And that wraps us up. Now we can move into Q&A. After we're done here, we do have a list of resources that I will send out to everybody. So if you were wondering how to go about all of that, you should have that in your inbox very shortly. So that wraps up our presentation. I know I threw a lot of information at everybody, but I want to open it up to any questions and answers. Shabam is on our community manager team, so he's been involved in the hacker community for a while and organizing hackathons. And yeah, we'd love to answer your questions. So I'm going to stop talking.
I have a question.
Yes.
So do you have any insights kind of historically what sorts of companies are most likely to sponsor a hackathon, like larger, smaller, tech civic, anything like that?
It is a mixed bag. If you go browse through some of our previous events on our events page, you can see some of the companies, but obviously tech companies, they're going to be bigger. They might be a little bit harder to reach, but I mean, a lot of tech companies obviously support hackathons, but you'll also have some really good luck with more medium-sized companies as well. You know, like some startups might be interested in getting the word out of their product too. So there could be some resources out there to find some, you know, newer startups like in very beginning stages that could be interested. And like I mentioned before, like local companies would be great to help sponsor your like food and any other physical things you need on site. Yeah. Any other questions from the crowd? All right, cool. Well, we've got a few organizers here, so I'd like to pivot the conversation really quick and just see how is everybody doing on their sponsorships. If you want to share your prospectus or if you have any questions about that, love to hear how that is going so far for you.
I know we haven't started reaching out to companies yet, but we're in the process of our sponsorship packet being finalized and being made. So I think what you've said about emailing and the resources that you'll send out, I think it'll really benefit us specifically. But I think this talk was pretty helpful in general. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you came. Anyone else?
Yeah, this came at a very good time for me too, because we're actually in the process of gathering a list of people to reach out to, and then we're going to kind of devise a strategy, which will impart next week, and then we'll start reaching out. So kind of getting a very good idea of what to actually focus on, I think is going to be very helpful. So
Amazing. Next week, we'll be doing marketing. So if you've got marketing people on your team that might want to come, you share this information with them. But we'll be reiterating the same talks pretty repetitively. So if you've got anyone else on your team that might benefit from these talks, definitely share the word. So Ahmad, do you all have any questions or need any help with anything sponsor wise or really anything wise? We can talk about HackCon too, like whatever you want.
So I was looking into MLS local hosts. I sent them, but I haven't got an answer yet, like how to get started on it, because most of the events contain fee, I think.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. I think you're cutting out a little bit. Can you throw that in the chat? All right, cool. Anybody have anything else? No more questions today? That's totally fine. We will send out an email with all the resources and stuff. If you have any questions or need any help with anything at any point, send us an email at league@mlh.io. Shabam and I are here for you. We're here to help you with whatever you need. If you are an event in the fall and want to get the ball rolling on your event, don't be afraid to get the application submitted as soon as possible. And we can get you started and start that mentorship and everything as well. So there's the email. And Ahmad, you said you had a little trouble starting a local host event. I don't know a whole lot about local host. Shabam, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. So we have this, I can get the link from here. Just give me a second. And what you have to do is you just have to register for the guild. I'll just pull in all the important links and forward it to you. Just give me a moment.
Ahmad, if you want to email us as well, we can get you in touch with whoever you need to talk to about a local host event too. Okay.
Yep.
All right, everyone. Well, until we meet again, again, share information about office hours. Love to see more of your organizers come. Next week is about marketing. We'll see you then.
thank you.
Thank you. See you.